Hey YouTube, what's going on? I am super excited about today's video because I'm going to be telling you about and showing you video clips and photos from the Ghetto Ranch, which was the first set of dirt jumps I ever really got to ride and build at, and the first backyard spot I was ever invited to, and really a place that really shaped who I am as a rider today and helped me get to where I am today, and even to an extent shaped the person I am today. But before I get into that, I do have a little bit of an unfortunate news, and that is that I'm actually injured again, which is such a bummer because I'd only just got back off my broken wrist. And so this injury isn't as bad, but about 3 weeks before the time of filming this video, I actually managed to roll my my left ankle, pretty badly on the airbag landing. So I had it set up in the driveway like I did during the lockdown video. And first jump in, I got caught in the wind and put my foot down. It's rolled my ankle over pretty bad. And so it swelled up like absolutely massive. It was like a huge bowling ball on my left foot, and it bruised up pretty bad. But thankfully, it's healing really well. And so the first 2 weeks after I rolled my ankle, I was on crutches, didn't really do a lot. I had to work from home, was just resting with my foot up all the time. And then after that, I was given permission from the doctor to start walking. So I've been walking for about 5 days now. It's going really well. And over this past 5 days, it's looked like me doing a heap of stretching, doing stuff like calf raisers and like working on the muscles of my leg and getting on the exercise bike a wee bit. I've also been wearing compression sock like a lot of the time to keep the swelling down. Like thrashing the anti-flam cream. I actually bought myself an ankle brace, 2 ankle braces actually, for riding in the future and for using for the sport of my ankle in the meantime, and a lot of time on the couch with my foot up. So currently at the time of filming this video, my ankle's starting to feel real good again, like it's getting stronger every day, and the pain is completely gone. I walk now, it's just a little bit stiff, and the bruising's almost 100% gone. The swelling's gone down heaps, still a little bit to go. And I'm about 4 weeks now away from riding, so that is a bit of a bummer having to wait to ride, but it's really important that when you're injured that you do wait, do take your time, get your strength back, because if you don't, you just get re-injured, make the injury worse, which results in stuff like surgeries and things like that. But it is what it is. I'm staying positive. I'm doing a little bit of juggling in my spare time and working on other things to keep myself entertained. And so yeah, that's a bit of an update on where I'm at with like riding currently. It's a bit of a bummer, but don't worry about videos because I can still do digging videos, and there'll be a digging video again next week, I think, so look forward to that. And for this week, what we're gonna get into now is get into this Ghetto Ranch video. Okay, so the Ghetto Ranch, like really where to begin? The Ghetto Ranch was a spot that was in the Richardson's backyard in Invercargill from about 2009, let's say, to 2014. And I first got invited there by Cameron Richardson in 2010. And like, it just blew my mind the first time I went there because I didn't really know anyone with backyard jumps. I didn't know anyone like that would let me build jumps in their backyard. And I always dreamed of it ever since I was a kid. And so to have a friend all of a sudden who was inviting me over to build jumps in his backyard was crazy. And like, honestly, the times I spent there really shaped who I am, you know? Like I learned to build jumps there, like built my first really sketchy jumps, got better at building jumps, learned heaps of tricks there, got my first really good photos done there, got lots of cool videos done there, because like Cam was one of the first guys I knew with a good camera. And also what's super cool and something I'm super grateful that's not riding related at all is that it actually really was probably one of the pinnacle points that led me to my faith and led to me to becoming a Christian, because going there, Cam and August, when they invited me there, they were Christian guys, and like I definitely wasn't, and they just like, you know, showed me love, cared for me, and were just super cool dudes to be around. Like them and my best friend Bevan Hart, like those dudes were just so nice to me. I hung out with them heaps in that backyard, and like they invited me to stuff like youth group and church. And I think like ultimately I probably wouldn't have ended up going to church and youth group and stuff if I hadn't gone to those jumps first and like had their kindness first. So like now my faith is probably the biggest thing in my life, you know, like I work in a ministry-based role, like I attend church, all those things. It just gives me purpose in life. So like super grateful for that, and also just super grateful for all those times on the bike. And so what I want to do in this video is really just go through some old photos of this place that I think are really iconic and great memories, show you some of the cool videos of the place, and yeah, let's just get straight into it and so into this first photo. We're starting off with these 2 photos. This first one is a photo of Cam Richardson on like the first dirt double we had there. And this thing, like, to be honest, back then we thought it was cool, but compared to the jumps right now, this thing was super sketchy, unshaped. It's basically 2 piles of dirt with carpet on top of it, but at the time, absolutely loved it. Thought it was so cool, and it was in his backyard and that we built it. This is a photo of Cam riding, and this is a photo of me riding. This is the first time I ever rode there. And now this photo here is probably like a year after that first photo maybe. This photo here is probably one of my favorite photos with Cameron and August. That's Cam Richardson and August Luker, 2 of the coolest guys I've ever met. This photo here in the no top, pumping the guns and pumping that 6-pack is Cam Richardson, and we got August underneath like the rock on, and me jumping them with a massive bar hump. Like, this is one of the most iconic photos really from the Ghetto Ranch, one of the funniest photos I've ever got in my life, and can't miss the high luxury in the background as well. So we've got this next photo. This next photo is one of August doing like a nice whip on there, and that shows the Hilux in full view. That was the Hilux. Used to use that thing to cart dirt around the yard, like to light up the jumps, and did a few sketchy hill starts with that thing back in the day as well, because it was unreliable, but it was a tank. So like, just real good memories here. Okay, so this next photo, this is probably like, I'll say the second most iconic photo from these jumps. So as you can see here, I'm doing a flip, but I'm miles away from my bike. Because when I first learned to flip, my technique was to pedal as fast as I could, pull as hard as I could, and just hope like heck I could make myself hang on, which is a terrible technique. Like, I didn't have them dialed in the phone, but really, and I was terrified of flips, but I just wanted to do them. I force myself to try them all the time, which I do not recommend. So on this photo, I ejected, and it's a crazy eject, a terrible technique eject. What's even crazier about it is the landing is like a foot or two lower than the takeoff. Like, it's just ridiculously dangerous and stupid, but just classic what we got up to back in the day there. So that's a quite iconic photo for me. Another photo for me, which I really, really love, is this one here. So this one's from a different angle on the same jump with the carpet on the lip, because we're riding in winter when it's wet, and the landing at the time was actually as big as the takeoff. And this was me doing one of my first ever 3 tables. Remember at the time when I learned to 3 table, like, I basically thought I was the best rider ever. Like, I was Brandon Semnek level because I could 3 table. It's the favorite trick I could do at the time. It's actually my favorite trick I can do now. And just, yeah, this photo still gets me stoked. And this photo is now 10 years old, which is pretty crazy. I think I've been riding bikes for 10 years. That's a pretty cool photo. Now we're moving on to a couple photos through the trail. So this trail like started at the top of the property and just zigzag through the trails. There's all kinds of different features we had in there. We had little sketchy jumps, there was berms, step downs, all sorts. It was super fun. And I actually didn't get to ride some of the sketchiest jumps, but I have a photo now of one Cam and August built, and this thing was just wild. And actually, I'll chuck a clip in. Can't remember who it was. I think this is Cam trying to jump it and just frame casing it like a clown, but it was absolutely classic. So yeah, that clip shows like just the kind of stuff we had going on in the woods. It was super fun. They're super good times, and was like our version of riding downhill at the time before any of us had downhill bikes or trail bikes. So what I want to move on to now is I'm going to put together a compilation of all the sort of video clips I got there. I didn't actually get many video clips there until sort of 2013, 2014, when I was sort of getting better at riding, starting to learn how to film edits and stuff, like friends like Isaiah painting and things like that. So what I'll do is I'll put in a compilation of some edits. So the first half of it will be a compilation of clips I got with Isaiah or other friends just riding the jumps, and then the last section will be of when I had the jam there. And I'll talk about the jam after I show those clips. So enjoy this sort of 5-minute compilation of the Ghetto Ranch. It's going to be good. awesome, guys. It is so fun reflecting on those memories and watching those clips again. And there's some absolute banger clips in there for me, you know, like those first clips and the ones that really stand out to me. I was like doing the bar spin brakeless. Like my seat was so low back then, I could barely pinch the bike. And so you see when I barred, I'd sort of turn to the side. Super sketchy. If you're doing bar spins, for goodness sake, raise up your seat. It makes it easier. Other clips I'm actually still stoked on there, like doing that tuck flip on that jump. Like I haven't done a tuck flip in a while. Like while I was a rushed one, like the hands were pretty far off, which is cool. What else? Like first time trying cork. Oh, actually, no, the second time I tried cork 7 Sedura, and I actually got super close that day. It's probably the closest I ever got before I ended up landing them finally in 2016. And back then, when was that film? 2014. There wasn't as many people doing them. Like Brandon Semnock and Brett Reeder were probably the only guys in like the F&B doing them. So it was a massive, massive trick. Like it's still a massive trick now, but it was an even bigger trick back then. So that clip really stands out to me. Some things that kind of make me cringe a little bit is like the amount I was casing the jumps back then, and like just how rough when I'd land. I was like, oh, a headbanger, like over rotating, under rotating. Because back then I was still in like the Levi mode when I rode. It was just all about doing big tricks. Didn't matter how rough you landed. And like to an extent, I kind of still am that rider, but over the last couple of years, I've really worked on getting smoother, getting my pump styled, riding smoother. So you feel better, you look after your bike better, and your tricks look better. So cringe a little bit looking at those cases, but still banger tricks. And then when we move into the second half of the edit, that was when I had the Ghetto Ranch Jam in 2014. So back when I was sponsored by Backflips Clothing, I decided to hold an event at the jumps, and unfortunately it actually rained heaps, and it was a really stressful day, but we managed to light some of the jumps on fire with petrol, get them dry enough to ride. In August, myself, Kellum Holloway, Matt Wood, we all had like a real good jam with some of my friends who were taking photos and stuff, and that was just so awesome. Like it felt so cool to have a bunch of my friends and like some of my family coming to watch us all ride at some jumps I'd worked on for ages. And the clip that really, really stands out for me there is 360 off that boner log, because that is probably the gnarliest 360 I've ever done. I've only 360'd off 3 drops ever. I did one the slopestyle comp in Canada, done the Queensland slopestyle one heaps of times, and then 360 that boner log. What made that so gnarly is it was probably like a 6-7 foot drop, and the landing was like 2 feet tall, because where it was, I couldn't dig further into the ground, so there's heaps of concrete under there. So it's a super small sniper landing, and like 360 in the wet was just gnarly. So that's something I'm still stoked on, still proud of today. And yeah, it was just an awesome time, that jam all around. Like such good times having August there. And also actually another notable clip, trying 3-whips. Like I actually never tried a 3-whip again since then. Like I actually looked reasonably close, so who knows, maybe it's one I could try and learn again or bring back out of the limelight. Yeah, that's pretty much a brief summary of what the Ghetto Ranch was. Like, super grateful for the times I had there and just for the opportunities presented to me by the Richardson family and their generosity for not only like letting me ride their place all the time, but just their hospitality and like the friendship of Cam and the whole family, and just the times I got to have there, and even being like introduced to faith there, and them, you know, putting up with this like punk kid basically ripping up their backyard. Like such an amazing place. Had so many amazing times there, and you know, always be grateful for that and fondly look back on those memories. And yeah, that marks the end of this video on the Ghetto Ranch. So what I was thinking I'd do, in the description I'll leave a link to all the individual videos I have, the Ghetto Ranch ones Cam and everyone else has uploaded, that you can check out. One I highly recommend is the Best Mountain Bike Fails one, the crash reel. That one's hilarious. I didn't include it in this video because it's a bit longer and the quality wasn't as good and it's hard to edit in, but great video to watch. And yeah, I would really appreciate if you guys give this video a like. It helps me out heaps, gets the video in the algorithm more. Less than comments what your favorite part was. Give a shout out to some of the people in the video. Share the video around with anyone who might like it, and subscribe if you're new. Cheers for watching, team. We'll see you in next week's video.